Hey. You may be seated. And I'm crying already. That's a beautiful scene there. We're at the end, brother. Finally. Excuse me just a minute. I cried when I saw that before, and went to telling everybody about it, and I'm glad you could see it here this morning. Did you show the two galaxies? No.
No, not them merging yet.
Okay. Anyway, there's two galaxies. You're calling them the twin galaxies that have moved from one location. Now, this is a whole galaxy now, two of them, and they didn't just one move and then the other move another direction. They're traveling together. They're traveling together. Two galaxies getting closer to the Earth. Fearful sights in heaven, you know, that may the peace of Yahweh be with each and every one of you. The fearful sights in heaven that Yeshua spoke of have just begun, and of course this is going to scare some people into committing suicide, and their hearts failing them, as Yeshua said. The bread sack. Ah, boy, it's beautiful. It amazes me how everything is fitting in this morning. The youngest boy, 5 years old, is that right? What? How old? You older than 5? Younger? You 4? What? How old? What? 7? Wow. Time passes fast, don't it? Speaking on the 613 laws, and then the deacon Melchizedek speaking of, I tell you, it is so amazing. You know, being true to Yahweh, and it fits right into the elders, the great Kohan Benjamin Krause Hawkins, and the work on the kings of the earth. And then it fits into mine because the kings of the earth, they kind of match up with the sons of Yahweh. That's the original sons of Yahweh. The original sons of Yahweh are different from you, who are the sons of Yahweh. Some choose to become bastards and not sons, and of course that's their choice. But anyway, it all fits together with the 10 kings that are so holy and so great, and they just amaze themselves, you know. Maybe themselves are the only ones that's being amazed, but the bread sack amazes me more than the 10 kings. Yahweh, you are our rock, our strength, and our hope, the only hope. Yahweh is the only hope for this world. I'm going to show you what it could be if Yahweh allowed it to be so. Please sustain our lives so we may forever bring forth the praise and honor which belongs to you. And of course, that is an honorable thing in wanting to bring forth the praise to Yahweh, an honor that belongs to Yahweh. He created the earth. Now this sermon I put back years ago. That is, I saw it. Yahweh showed it to me, but I thought, you know, it's not the right time. And then when everything started taking place and I saw these 10 kings, and I said, this needs to be tied in with the original sons and the date of the creation of the earth, because it's all tied together in this sermon. It's a complicated thing. It's not easy, but I know you can figure it out. And David Berner said he wouldn't tell you. But I'm hoping to get by Feast of Tabernacles. Feast of Tabernacles only about 2 months, isn't it? Something like that. And I'm in hopes of getting to that part. But I'm in hopes that everyone here, before I get to it, I'm in hopes you will have it. I'll give you some hints, but I don't want you to just take my word. I want you to study. Study to show yourself approved. Yahweh's plan, I don't mean for you to go out on your own. That's a no-no. You'll fail yourself. You'll fail Yahweh. That's the reason He put the house here, to guide you, to teach you. The reason that they got all screwed up with Yeshua, and Yeshua said, nobody's going to come unto me unless the Spirit of the Father draw him. And of course, if you follow the Spirit of Yahweh, which is the laws of Yahweh, He tells you, go to the priest. Go to the one sent. Don't go out on your own. Go to the one sent. Yahweh's plan to have you sitting in His house at this time, so you would be a blessing to all the other people who have lived before you and could actually bring forth this character into other people's lives. Oh, that is so beautiful. I praise Yahweh for you. The original sons of Yahweh, you'll find them in, excuse me, in chapter 1 of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1 and 2 of Genesis. No need in turning there right now. We got other things we got to cover, but that's the original sons that Yahweh gave freedom. He didn't give them freedom to trespass on earth, but they did. And I'll show you how this was done, everything. But the original sons of Yahweh, the original sons, they were mighty. They had, as one of the disciples said, you know, they're so much more powerful than us. And that's written in Hebrews too, the book of Hebrews, that they're so much mightier than we human beings. And of course Yahweh, if you notice, he takes the humble. He doesn't work with the proud. If you notice the spirit that King David had, and the spirit that was even multiplied in Yeshua that King David had, but was multiplied in Yeshua, the character, the humility that man brought forth. He lived it. Well, of course, that's what we need to be. And how do we stop being proud? How do we get it out of our life? If you think from before you came here, what an ignorant fool you were, how much you're still lacking. If Yahweh dropped you overboard right now, you'd drowned. You haven't come nearly to what He wants you to come to, but if you develop in yourself that humility that Yeshua said, like a little child, eager to be taught, eager to take correction. Well, tell me what I'm supposed to do, Dad. Well, that's what Yahweh wants. But if you compare the original sons that I'm going to show you, with the 10 kings that are so holy and so great that the great Kohan Benjamin Krause showed you. He's shown quite a bit of it. Others showing some too. And you compare this with the rulership of Rome now, the fourth beast. And if you read the history of the fourth beast or the scriptures of the fourth beast, even in Daniel 7, you'll see that they were cruel, they were rulers, they were everything except what Yeshua said you've got to be. Those in power rule over the ones under them, and then those in power still have others that rule over them. Like the Pope, he's put forth as a Santa Claus to the people, but his rulers are actually the Vatican. And that city is what Yahweh shows in Revelation 17:18. Yahweh shows that city right there is the ones that are making all the decisions of the world, and each one of them assign offices to others to see, report news, take decisions back to the countries so they can rule the countries, like they're ruling the United States in the bathrooms. You know, that's getting down to the nitty-gritty when you can rule the bathrooms and who can use the bathroom and mixing them up. You know, it's getting pretty personal, looks to me like. And then before that, look how personal they got and deceiving when they brought forth from the Supreme Court, that sodomy is righteousness. And that's what they ruled. Well, if you compare all of these together with the original sons of Yahweh and what is taking place in the world today, you know, the wars and fighting that the great Kohan Yisrayl Hawkins was showing with the news. We need to get that news in writing and prophetic words, manuscripts and the prophetic words. In the YPN news, I don't know how many of you get to watch it, but we need it to where we can read it. The stuff that is coming forth in that right now, you need it to understand those prophecies that are taking place. Everything that's taking place in the news right now was prophesied. The 10 kings, you know, I kept expecting them. Of course, I was expecting them 40-something years ago, but and finally they just overnight, and here they are. and of course, once you see it and see them and compare it with the scriptures, you know this is it. These are the ones that's going to bring the war, the nuclear war. It's actually going to destroy the Catholic Church and all, as Malachi said, all who do wickedly. And only those who humble themselves in Yahweh's house is going to get through, as Melchizedek brought out. You know, if you don't do this, you know, you're the one that's making the choice. Yahweh is not choosing for you. You're going to have to be a part of the work, and the more you can be a part of the work, the better off you are. But humble yourself to be a part of Yahweh's work forever. If you got something that's bugging you, it's your problem. It's your problem. You need to repent of it. Repent and convert so it won't bother you. It's you that's wrong. Yes, it's you that's wrong. Even if somebody wrongs you, it's not right for you to carry a grudge. Two wrongs don't make a right. Remember that? That's the old saying of my dad. Well, why did you hit your brother? Because he hit me. Does two wrongs make a right? No. Well, that's what the nations are doing. That's what the original sons of Yahweh did too. It's all used in Yahweh's plan to change the hearts and minds of those who will become real sons and real daughters of Yahweh, who are willing to become real sons and real daughters. You got to remember in this time period, Matthew 24:7, Matthew 24:7, 33 and 34 says that generation, we're in that generation of the nuclear bomb that's shown in verse 29. It would only be a complete idiot that can't see that. Surely you can see we got the bomb. We got the increased knowledge. Increased knowledge. And what did we do with it? Of course, we built the bombs that Yahweh said we would. And we're ready to use them. That is, the quartet is ready. And of course, remember, the quartet is guided by the Catholic Church. But this shows the disunity, and how can two walk together unless they be agreed? You can't. You're not going to walk with Yahweh. You're not going to be in His kingdom if you're like the world today. Russia is not agreeing, but 99% of the people don't agree, but they're afraid to open their mouth. The preachers that are calling and writing now by so many that are saying, they want to come to the house, they want to show this to their flock, they want to put this up in their church so everybody can see it. The meeting that was held this morning when I was praying and they were praying in Kenya, which is being really stricken right now with drought, food shortage. If things get worse than it is now in Kenya, people will start starving to death. There's some starving now, but it hasn't caught the world's attention, but it will. But that's what's taking place in many parts of the earth. And you're going to have a food shortage right here in America, believe it or not. There's going to be a food shortage here. There's going to be gangs which our government is fearful of right now in this time period. And I'm telling you how things add up and how things got started off in the wrong way and how Yahweh's original sons let it get started and they didn't follow the advice of their father. And they were oh so great and oh so holy that they didn't need their father to tell them what to do. You know anyone like that? Well, the whole goofy world. And especially these people that are calling themselves so holy and so great, and yet they're going to make war against the Lamb. How much stupider could you be to go and make war against the Lamb? And they're going to burn the earth with fervent heat, as one of the apostles said. Also said in Revelations. But Matthew, the Savior, told you, in that generation, you're going to see all of this. In the generation that you see the nations against the nations, the kingdom against the kingdoms, with the nuclear bomb of mass destruction at their use, at their fingertips to use. There was an article, I'm still having it read, but it showed the weapons, the nuclear weapons that we have in Turkey right now. This is just part of the witches' concoction that we see brewing in this big pot that the Vatican has going. But we put bombs, missile, we put guided missile. They said defense, but Russia said, all you have to do is turn them around. And that takes about 10 minutes or less. And you got an offensive weapon of mass destruction at your disposal. And of course, they put these in Turkey to use, as Russia said, Putin said, against Russia. Malachi Martin talked about the opposition of of Russia, Malachi Martin, is the one that wrote the book, The Keys of This Blood, that exposed the plans of the Catholic Church, and also let it be known that they were the ones holding the scepter. Well, of course, the world don't know what that means, but only you know that, and the ones who listen to the broadcast, that this scepter was actually given to them for up until a certain time. And Daniel showed the time that it would cease. But the way it's going to cease is they're making the same mistakes as the original sons of Yahweh. And Yahweh is letting mankind play this out, so we will forever have a record to show the people on all the trillions of planets that's out there, that I don't see how we will ever cover all of them, but Yahweh says we will multiply, and we will actually cover all of these planets and bring peace to them. And remember, with Yahweh, one day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as one day with Yahweh. So it's a long, long plan, like this plan. Revelation 17:12. I want to read that one to you, if you'll turn there. Revelations 12, and call it to your remembrance. But Yahshua said, remember now, when you see these things, the hatred between the nations, the bombs of mass destruction, the bringing forth of iniquity that stops love. You can't tell me that these people that are killing all these children and the refugees that are begging for food, they're raping their children. Yes, they're raping their children. And of course, if that is love, and they're so holy and so great, you can see what a wicked mess that their love, how much it stacks up. Well, here in Revelation 17 and verse 12, he says, the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings. Well, of course, that they have made their appearance now, and they're calling themselves holy and great. The holy and the great. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, which as yet have not received a kingdom, but receive authority. Authority. Now, these original sons of Yahweh had great authority. I mean, it was unlimited at the time, and they proved what they would do. And this is what Yahweh wanted them to do, and He set it for heaven and for heaven to see. He set it for heaven to see. Mankind was not created at that time. But they receive authority as kings. That's a foundation of power. 1 hour with the beast. Well, that 1 hour is going to bring forth that 1 hour. Like, if you remember, I don't want to turn there and read it, but a hour, a day, a month, and a year. Now, Yahweh can prophesy so precisely that He can tell you exactly. And we see this all the way through the Scriptures, and we're going to see it even more. Yahweh has that power. You'll never catch up with Yahweh. You're always going to need Yahweh throughout all eternity. I'm going to try to catch up with Yahshua, but he's got 2,000 years ahead of us now. And I really envy that guy. 2,000 years learning with a subconscious mind that's conscious to him now, and he's taking in all of this knowledge from Yahweh, knowledge and wisdom that actually govern and guide, protect the microorganisms that work with him. By the way, they found some structures in the bottom of the ocean. Now this proves the house of Yahweh. We told them first and told them what to look for. They found structures in the ocean floor, and they thought this was buildings that had been destroyed, and the water came over them and they were destroyed. And now, on close examination, they find out that microorganisms built these structures on the ocean floor. and they're using them. I have the article. I'm going to put it in a letter, but I'll put it in a prophetic word too. But they receive authority. If you can think about the authority that the sons of Yahweh had to create and maintain flesh. Now we know that Satan had this, and what she had, of course, her sons had, and her children. Yes, Satan had children. She still has children that are following her and teaching and preaching to her, or for her, and that Yahweh shows these are her children. And Yahweh says that through your anger and your frustration, you're going to murder your children, all your children. Well, anyway, this authority that was given to the sons of Yahweh in the beginning was just about unlimited. But if you kick a dog enough, he'll get to where he won't work for you. And when he gets that way, you'll want to get rid of him. The teacher sometimes is worse than the dogs. and they teach with force and brutality and frustration. They teach out of their frustration. And of course, this is the wrong way to teach. The way to teach righteousness is the way that Yeshua taught and guide. And he set us a perfect example there, and he says this rulership that you're seeing in the world today, you're not going to see it in Yahweh's kingdom. Praise Yahweh. Understand that. These people are going to receive authority, and 1 hour, much like the original sons of Yahweh did, and they will have weapons of mass destruction at their disposal here, and they're prophesied to use it. There's a misprint in Revelation 17:17, where it says, "But it came to pass." No, but Yahweh has put it in their hearts to perform His will. That is a mistranslation. The correct way, and David will be bringing this out at the feast, so I'll just read the correct translation. But it came to pass that it was put in their hearts to perform their will. Well, Yahweh didn't put it in their hearts. The Vatican put it in their hearts. The leader of the kings, even the 10 kings, are being led by the Vatican, and they don't realize it. They are going to wake up to the fact that the Vatican has more power than they, and they don't really have the authority that they thought that was given to them. And this is where they're going to turn in hatred against the Vatican itself and wipe it out. Okay, these have power 1 hour with the beast. The beast there is speaking of is the one that is shown by Daniel in the 2nd chapter. It also goes back to now Genesis 49 in verse 10 and 11. It goes back to there, but it is shown by Daniel to be the quartet that a great kingdom was created there, that came down today, which is called the quartet, that represents the 4 horns, the 4 murderers, the 4 murdering horns. verse 13. That we see today called the quartet. With, of course, the Vatican guiding this quartet. See you again. Okay, verse 13 now. These have one purpose, and they give their power and authority to the beast. The beast of Daniel, that Daniel was allowed to show to us today. It was closed to Daniel, and then Daniel asked one of the two witnesses to explain it to him, showing who would be giving that today. It's magnificent prophecy. But verse 13 there, these have one purpose, that is to fulfill. Now this, of course, fulfills Yahweh's plan of showing this to the whole world, to heaven and earth. And the purpose there being that Yahweh is allowing this to be fulfilled. Yahweh doesn't cause it. He doesn't put anything into their hearts at all. He allows it to be put there. He allows it to be put there by the Vatican and by Satan, because that's the one they chose. They belong to Satan. First Yochanan 3, 7 and 8 shows that these belong to Satan. And in fact, Satan in Revelations 13 and verse 1 through 3 shows that Satan gives them their power and seat and great authority. That's this beast that rises up out of the people. That was shown in Daniel, but also shown in Revelation for these last days, where another beast joins this one that has two horns. That's the United States with of course, the Vatican and Christianity, the Catholic and what they're calling Christian. No difference between them. The Catholic Church is making their decisions, as you could see. You can see this in the schools, the courts, everything here in the United States. 1 hour. The Christians actually are rebelling against the things that the Catholic Church has passed, you notice. And there's states even coming against the government, coming against Barack Obama. There's states coming against him, trying to stop what the Catholic Church is doing, but they can't, they're powerless. And they can't pull out of the union, they're tied there too. This is supposed to be a United States means unity, but it's not being held together right now with unity. It's being held together with threats of force. And of course, when someone tries to pull out, they show how much force they have over that state. These have one purpose, that is, this purpose that they have, that is prophesied of Yahweh, is to show this hatred and disunity and so forth, and show what it brings. It will never bring peace. The purpose is to show that to heaven and earth, to give their authority to the beast. These will make war with the Lamb, and of course they are making war at this time against Yahweh's kingdom. They started years ago. These will make war with the Lamb. There's no way that the House of Yahweh could go to any of these places where these 10 kings are and start a House of Yahweh. They wouldn't allow it. The United States was created for that purpose. And if Yahweh hadn't have guided that for his work, we would be just like Rome or Turkey or Russia or any of those places. There would not be freedom of speech. And they are trying to get freedom of speech stopped here in the United States. This is part of the war they're making against the Lamb. These will make war with the Lamb, but the Lamb will overcome. He is ruler of rulers and king of kings. This right here, that is his assignment. But his assignment does not take place until these prophecies take place. He's only right now high priest over the house of Yahweh. But in his time, when this is actually given to him, will be when Yahweh makes his enemies his footstool, makes them ready to learn at his feet. And the king and those who are with him are called, chosen, and get that last word. It was brought out today by the two young speakers. Faithful. Faithful. Yes, make up your mind to be faithful to Yahweh. That's what it takes to be a king or a priest or anything in Yahweh's kingdom. Now, let me see, where do we go? The waters which you saw, where the whore sets are peoples, multitudes, nations, and languages. The whole earth. Revelations 13 shows will worship this dragon and the beast that she gives authority to, and in saying, who is able to make war with her? Well, in verse 16 now, the 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these will hate the whore. This is a prophecy. They're going to hate the whore. They're going to turn in hatred against her. They're saying, we love you. You know, we're in unity with you. This was the first article I read on this. And I said, hey, this is the 10 kings. And they're in unity with the Vatican. They're saying they are. They will hate the whore and will make her desolate and naked, and will eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Burn her in 1 hour, in fact, because that's shown in chapter 18 of Revelation. 1 hour. An hour, a day, a month, and the year. The hour. If you translate that, the hour, the prophesied hour. Yes, Yahweh is that precise. That precise. The hour, the day, the month, and the year. It's altogether different when you get it this way than what you were thinking before. It's not lined up to take an hour, a day, and a month, and a year. It's speaking of the hour, this 1 hour burning, and the day, and the month, and the year. Yes, it's shown. The day, the hour, the month, and the year. But Yahweh has put in their hearts, he doesn't put in their hearts the correct translation, but it came to pass that it was put in their hearts. Yahweh didn't put it there. It came to pass. And this is a prophecy, that it was put in their hearts. The 10 kings wasn't in existence when this prophecy was written right here. It wasn't until the great Holy Roman Empire busted up, and it was given to the 4 leading generals of that empire. And then after that, then they went out and formed the nations. The Catholic Church put leaders in each one of these that, of course, had to yield to the demands of the people. So, and those that didn't agree with the Catholic Church still had the Catholic Church in their group, guiding it. But, of course, the nations were saying, well, we don't follow the Catholic Church, but they're actually following her. And that's the way it is here in America, except they are in control of the Christians who are controlling. And of course they have their people in the municipal courts so they can guide and direct that. Do you ever wonder why you couldn't put up a Ten Commandment sign in the courthouse or a school? Why do the churches not put it in their front yard? Do you ever think about that? Now they're supposed to be free, and they want to go to the church, they want to go to the courthouse and put it there, but they don't dare post it in front of their church. Why? Who's controlling that? But Yahweh has put it in their mind, no, it was put in their hearts, to perform His will and to agree and give their kingdom to the beast until the words of Yahweh will be fulfilled. Well, of course, this, if you'll keep all of this in mind right here now, and along with the sons of Yahweh, the first sons of Yahweh. Let's turn over to Psalms 82. The first sons of Yahweh, called in the Scripture the heavenly court, and of course they are having trouble in the heavens, and we know now from our strong telescopes and everything, there is wars in heaven. We've known that now for quite some time. But here in Psalms 82, we see that Yahweh is dealing with this. And if you could imagine now, the universe as big as it is, and the sons of Yahweh that was originally started, grew, multiplied, the planets multiplied. They even had power at one time to do that. I believe they've lost all of that power now. I think the microorganisms refuse to work for them at this time. And this is what occurred to the ones on earth, where Yahweh allowed them to trespass on earth. They did their thing for a while, and then the microorganisms refused them and then vomited them out. But here we see that Yahweh is dealing with them, and it's much like dealing with the world today that we're dealing with, and trying to teach and guide Yahweh's people. It says Yahweh stands in the assembly of the gods. Well, this is the heavenly court that the commentaries all speak about, and of course they don't understand it, but they think these are human beings that's died and gone to heaven, but there's no such thing. The people that die, they're dead. They know nothing. Well, these know very little, so maybe getting close to it. Like the great and the holy. They tell themselves that they're so wise that they can just solve any problem and every problem, but they can't solve the simplest problems. Yahweh stands in the assembly of the gods, and He gives judgment among the gods. And Yahweh says, "How long will you defend the unjust and show partiality to sinners?" Well, yes, of course, they're breaking the laws of Yahweh there too. Yahweh has given them these perfect laws. But it's like Christianity, the Vatican Church, the great and the holy, 10 kings. It's like those here on earth right now, and Yahweh is letting them play this part out on earth so He can forever have this as a record, as history, so we can have it as history to teach with and to show partiality to the sinners. That's what's going on here on earth. They're showing partiality to sin. I noticed this couple of weeks, Germany is saying they want to create a partial law against the women in Germany who are wearing these veils. A partial law. Well, that's what they did in the United States when they started pushing sodomy. And it's not a partial law anymore. They've got it full scale going. They haven't brought in incest yet, but everybody knows they're going to. This is the last and greatest sin that they have planned in coming against all holiness, all forms of holiness, as Daniel said. They will come against all forms of holiness, and speaking peace, they will destroy many. Now that's the prophecy that Yahweh has lined up and shown also in Revelation 17. He says in verse 3, you should defend the weak and fatherless. The weak and fatherless, they have a Salvation Army that's supposed to take care of them. Then they had the Love and the Care ministry, and it closed down. They have the churches who have turned their nights into caged wrestling or fighting, to bring in money, because they're not getting any money, any tithe and offerings, they said, so they got to do something to survive. If you notice that it's not that they care about teaching righteousness or producing salvation. It's that we've got to have something to pay the bills. Well, what are these bills? Well, I own my car. Here's one thing. I got 2 cars and I'm paying both on one. My electric bill is awfully expensive. Well, these are the preachers that's running the churches, of course. So let's create this night of wrestling. It will bring in more people than the Sunday worshipers. And we'll charge them so much. Well, right now it's working. They could create a nightclub and put some killer fish in it. You know, they said the nightclubs in New York, the only one that was actually prospering now, they don't want to go to the nightclubs. They want the booze served wherever they go. So what's the use of going to a nightclub? So they put the killer fish, and they have the feeding show at a certain time, and they say that their nightclub is flocking full at that time of feeding. They want to see those mean fish rip apart those that are not mean. Well, this was the same thing that was taking place in the stadiums, where they had the women who wore veils, the men who had been accused of owning a 7-lamp lampstand, keeping the Sabbath, or the man who would not eat pork. Those were enemies of Circe, from which you get the word church. And Sister Churchy, she was, so great and so holy. She picked up all this trash that was left in the arena, that is, the dead bodies that the lions couldn't eat. She picked it up and took it to her pig pen, fed her pigs with it, and sold it back to the people. So great and so holy. And Isaiah said, and all the world now, Isaiah 65, verses 2 and on, says the people, these multitudes, nations, and languages, are following these priests who eat the pigs, who eat swine's flesh. You Christians really ought to open your Bible and turn to Isaiah 65, read from about verse 2, where Yahweh says He's had His arms open to you, for many years, and see that you're following this priest who eats swine's flesh. That's the Vatican that sits on 7 hills. They got 10 priests now who also eat swine's flesh, and they're giving their power to the Pope. The rights of the poor and oppressed. Germany oppressed, of course, those who were not Catholic. They oppressed them. they finally started killing them to get them out of their way. They wouldn't fight in their armies. They wouldn't eat their pig meat, even though they smoked it and made sausage and put all kinds of fancy seasoning in it. They wouldn't eat it. And they wanted to worship on the Sabbath day instead of the first day of the week. Don't let anybody lie to you. This is the reason that Hitler killed these people. And it started long before Hitler. Titus, in 70, there you go, 70 AY, killed about, some say 1 trillion, but others say at least 3 million Hebrew people that kept the Sabbath day and wanted to keep the feast at Jerusalem. Murdered them, tore down the buildings, took all their wealth to Rome. Why would he take it to Rome? Oh boy, the leader of the kings of the earth, and the people still can't see it. Well, the gods are in this same direction. They're running this in the same path. The original sons of Yahweh. He said, verse 4, you should rescue the poor and needy and deliver them from the hands of the wicked. Did you know the house of Yahweh is the only ones that welcome the poor? And I would not trade one of you for a 10,000 of these rich people that think they are so holy and so great. You know, Yahweh can put within your mind the knowledge and wisdom, and once he gives you that subconscious mind, you know, there's no way that these original sons of Yahweh would ever stay up with you. Theirs is stopped. Their learning is stopped. When they cut Yahweh off, they cut the subconscious mind off. And of course they went down. That's what Romans is showing there in the first chapter of Romans. The Apostle Shaul, who was a Roman soldier and wrote against the Romans, knew all about the Roman training and why, and turned against the Romans and started. He didn't bring forth Christianity. No, Christianity produces sodomy. And the apostle was against the breaking of Yahweh's laws, including sodomy. He even said that it's the worst sin there is. Against your body. Don't do it or you're going to suffer, he said. That's in 1 Corinthians. He also wrote 1 Corinthians. Well, verse 5. You know nothing, he said. This is what Yahweh is saying to them. You know nothing. You understand nothing. You walk about in darkness. Darkness. Yes. You'll see that vividly when we get to Genesis 1, verses 1 and 2. You walk about in darkness, and this is what you bring. And all the foundations of the earth are stricken because of you. All the foundations of the earth, everything in the earth is stricken because of you gods. And of course Yahweh said in Genesis, talking to the man, don't follow the gods. and that's what everybody wants to be. They want to be of the God family. I started to put another word there. I'm glad I caught myself. They want to be of the God family, and of course bring forth all the evil. I just wanted to show you. I see one thing here. Oh, here it is. Here you go. And you see that? Now, surely that's righteousness, isn't it? Wow, look the way he's holding his hand, and look how beautiful that face is that's looking up at him there. Now, these are the poor. These are the poor right here that he's supposedly taking care of now. This is all just false. It's as false as their Sunday keeping. There's no curing here at all. U.S. transfers nukes from Turkey to Romania. Washington losing control. Losing control. Now get this. Washington is losing control of some 50 U.S. tactical nuclear weapons at Turkey's airbase. They have stopped all shipping going in and out of Turkey. They won't allow them to take them out. Russia's military forces staging near Ukraine. Martial law will be implemented by October 1st. Martial law will be implemented by October 1st. All of these things you can get. Guess where the U.S. will house its next modernized nuclear weapons? They won't have a chance to invent those nuclear weapons. They won't have a chance to complete them. The world is not going to last that long. They got enough power right now to destroy the earth 10 times over. And of course they are going to use it. Prophecy is precise, and it's going to take place. Look how he named and showed you the scriptures in Daniel. He said that the knowledge would be increased, and then Daniel was showed 2 other people alive, and one of them he spoke to, and they were on a future day teaching. Knowledge would be increased at that time. I was born in 1934. The nuclear bombs of mass destruction was started, do you get this? In 1934. If you've read any of the newsletters, I brought it out in many. The knowledge increase, the computer that increased man's knowledge, was started in 1934. All 3. The one that was speaking to Daniel through a vision that Yahweh showed would be talking about this end time and the prophecy was born in 1934. Precise, huh? It gets better than that. Wait till the next sermon. Wait till the one that David's going to bring this coming feast. Oh, it's so beautiful. May Yahweh bless you, and I'll turn the services over to the next speaker. I love you.